By virtue of the authority vested in me, as Vice Chancellor, I hereby constitute this congregation of the Durban University of Technology for the purpose of welcoming our first year students and essentially opening our academic year. You may take your seats.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor and Principal. Sanbonani, Dumelang, Afusheni. My name is Clement Moreku, the Dean of Students. I'll be directing proceedings this morning. Let me take this opportunity to acknowledge the presence of our Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Tandwa Mtembu, the DVC present, and the senior managers present, the parents, the guardians, and our first year students. We are excited to be starting this academic journey with you. Before all else, the orientation program, ADAPT, is the first stop for all teaching, learning, and campus experience. ADAPT at DUT is carefully and intentionally curated to give you an overview of the array of services that are available to support and develop you throughout your journey here at DUT. Espousing in Vision 2030 values and principles, DUT is a people-centered university. We recognize that both staff and students have a role to play in the realization of the strategic direction of the university. Underpinning this is the idea that the university assumes its identity from its people. The successes and failures of the university can be tracked back from its people. Thus, students are an integral part of the university. We have a set of values and principles that are not just engraved in a paper, but are and need to be demonstrated in our ways of doing things the DUT way. DUT views student success beyond just numbers, beyond just grades. We have a set of initiatives aimed at cumulatively growing you to be adaptive graduates, with the acumen to respond and to initiate changes in our communities. This includes entrepreneurship, leadership development, and co-curricular activities curated to give a broad range of skill set. Equally, we have a range of initiatives to support your learning. We have tutorials, residence educational programs, and other academic support initiatives offered through the Center for Excellence in Learning and Teaching, such as the first year experience, academic advising, and technology for learning. We welcome you to this important event, which is the orientation of our first year. It's going to take place the whole week, so enjoy the orientation week and don't forget to provide feedback on what you have learned and how we can improve. I'm now going to introduce the executive management and the senior managers of the Durban University of Technology. Our Vice Chancellor and Principal, Prof. Tandwa Mthembu, DVC Research Innovation Engagement, Prof. Fulufelo Namavula, DVC Teaching and Learning, Dr. Nebutalu, the Institutional Registrar, Dr. Nkunwani, Executive Dean, Faculty of Engineering and Built Environment, Prof. Rathilal, Executive Dean, Faculty of Health Sciences, Prof. Mkunu, Executive Dean, Faculty of Management Sciences, Prof. Netswera, Interim Director, Midlands Campuses, Prof. Kapula, Director, Student Services, Mrs. Hafaji, Project Manager, Imbali Prinsect, Dr. Shozi, Director, Protection Services, Mr. Mofokeng. Manager Innobis, Center for Innobis and Entrepreneurship, Ms. Ngobo. HOD School of Education, Dr. Mtiani. HOD Finance and Information Management, Dr. Nyinde. HOD Applied Management, Mr. Tamini. We also have Professor Makondo. This is our executive and senior managers at the Durban University of We also have Dr. Paladi, Director of Library. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our executive and senior managers at DUT in both campuses, that is Durban and the Midlands. I would now call upon the President to introduce his team, Mr. Zoleka.
Vice Chancellor, Prof. Tandon Tembu, the Registrar, Dr. Ngonywan, Dean of Students, Dr. Morev, and all other management team in the house. I would like to say all protocol is observed. Now, my duty here is to introduce the SRC. But before I introduce to you the SRC, I would like to say a few words. But also, I would like to send my special greetings to Osingabo, first-time students who have chosen Durban University of Technology as an institution to mold their talent. I would also like to greet abazali abakhona abaphelezele bona abafundi abakhethile inyuvesi yaseThekwini yezobuchwepheshe. Now, I would like to congratulate you for passing your matric with good results. You are a true definition of dedication, commitment, and hard work. I would like to remind you that you are the most lucky group of 2023. I am saying this because very few students are making it to the university level. Even though the pass rate increased, but only few students who qualified for admission at universities, and only few are able to get a space at the university. Ngawo lamazwi ngithi leli thuba enilitholile liyinqayizivele, akulona ithuba elandele nanoma ubani. Okusho ukuthi nina ninenhlanhla, leli thuba kumele niliphathise okwezikhali zamantungu. Now, going back, I would like to introduce the SRC, starting from the Deputy President, uSekela Mongameli, based in PMB, uSkhulu Umchunu. the Secretary General, Umelusi Shabalala. Finance Officer, Usihle Nkosi. Deputy Secretary General, uWandiswa Mncube. Then I will go to additional members of the SRC. We have uSocial from Durban side, uSlindile Mabonga. We have uSocial from PMB, uOtto Pupuma. We have projects from PMB, uSiyabonga Mbatha. And also projects from Durban in his absentia, uThandolwethu Makagula. We have sports from Durban, uFezeka Swaphiwe Matombozi. We have sports from PMB, uAyanda Mboto. We have accommodation from Durban side, Mhleli Zuma. We have accommodation from PMB, uSiphamandla Mbatha. We have academics from Durban, uBongumusa Shinga. Then we have academics from PMB, uSlindile Ximba. Now, this is what we call a student representative council. Wona mkhandlu ongamela abafundi ukuthi maninenkinga enibhekana nazo during your academic journey in DUT, you must never be scared to come forward with your problems to these people. This is the team that will guide you and teach you a way of doing things here in DUT. Going forward, I would like to once again congratulate you for joining us here in Durban. I thank you.
That is our Student Representative Council, the official voice of our students as per the Higher Education Act 101 of 1997 as amended. Thank you so much, Mr. President. We are now going to have a musical interlude by the DUT choir.
Oh my baby, oh my baby, oh my baby, oh my baby, oh my baby. Oh my baby, my love. Oh my baby, baby. Bazumba, bazumba, my love. Bazumba, zumba, zumba, zumba. Ooh, 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 ah, la, la.
Ubando sayo, sengathi ngimolengayo. Ubando sayo, sengathi ngimolengayo. Shonini madoda. Ubando sayo, sengathi ngimolengayo. Ubando sayo, sengathi ngimolengayo. Shonini madoda. Izulu bayesabo baba. Izulu bayesabo baba. Bayesabo baba. Izulu bayesabo baba. Izulu bayesabo baba. Bayesabo baba. Izulu bayesabo baba. Izulu bayesawa.
Ngithi inkunzi enjani sabe sinye bo. Inkunzi enjani sabe sinye bo. Inkunzi enjani. Ozawe. Inkunzi enjani sabe sinye. Inkunzi enjani sabe sinye. Inkunzi enjani. Ngithi inkunzi enjani sabe sinye bo. Inkunzi enjani sabe sinye bo. Inkunzi enjani. Ozawe. Inkunzi enjani sabe sinye. Inkunzi enjani sabe sinye. Inkunzi enjani.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is part of our distinctive education that we give to our students. Another round of applause, please. Institutional Registrar, could you please introduce the Vice Chancellor and Principal to the audience?
Nazo. Dumelang. Sanbonani. Molweni. Tobela. Realocha. Abusheni. Abachironi. Kuyemware. Good morning. Eitata. It gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce our Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Tandwa Izizwe Mtembu, to the congregation. When he passed his matric many years ago, I believe it's in Chart boarding school, Mnambiti, he trekked to the Eastern Province, Eastern Cape, at a place called Alice Edikeni, to start his university life or studies at the University of Fort Hare, where he registered for a Bachelor of Science degree, BSc, with one of his specializations in mathematics. Legend has it that he is part of the top 10 that set a record as achievers by completing BSc at the time, with flying colors at Fort Hare University. When everybody was saying BSc is a 3-year program, but the first 5 years are the most difficult. These are some of the stories you will hear as first year students. He then proceeded into an honors program, BSc Honors Mathematics, Fort Hare University. Completed and proceeded, went to Vanderbilt University in the United States of America, where he obtained an MSc, Master of Science in Mathematics. Upon his return to South Africa, he proceeded for his doctoral studies at Wits University while working as a warden at a student residence. On completion of his doctoral studies, PhD in mathematics, at the age of 27, he started his lecturing job at the then University of the North, Kwakwa branch. And at the age of 29, he was awarded professorship in mathematics. In about 1995 into 1996, he became a campus director at the Velcom campus of the erstwhile Vista University. And that was up to about 2000, when he then came back to KwaZulu-Natal to assume a position as the Deputy Vice Chancellor at the then University of Durban-Westville. A few years later, proceeded to Wits University and assumed duty as a Deputy Vice Chancellor, and later as a Vice Principal at Wits University. From the 1st of January 2007, he assumed a position as a Vice Chancellor and Principal at Central University of Technology, Free State, up to the 30th of September 2017, when he left to assume his current position as Vice Chancellor and Principal at DUT with effect from the 1st of October to 2017 to date. He is going to tell you that since matric, he's never been anywhere else. He spent his entire teenage and adult life at university. Over to you, Velas.
Program Director, Dr. Mureke. Registrar, thank you very much for your very generous introduction, for something that I'm glad you never mentioned the years, because it's many years ago that I completed matric and did all of those things. So indeed, I'm a dinosaur of sorts in higher education. Members of the executive and senior management team, they were introduced to you all. The student services team, student governance team, led by the Dean of Students, our program director, and also at a more executive level by the registrar. Members of staff, lecturers, senior lecturers, professors, but also our support services staff. Mr. Zolega and your team in the SRC, and other leaders from clubs and societies, parents, guardians, sponsors of our students, ladies and gentlemen. I must not forget to recognize the choir, because as Dr. Mureke said earlier, there is something very special we are trying to do at DUT in terms of creating a compelling and a future-oriented living and learning environment through clubs and societies and so forth. I'll make comments later about why creating such a compelling and future-oriented living and learning environment is very important to all our students. The SRC president did acknowledge our first year entry students. Indeed, as he said, this is a grand opportunity for each one of you. If you look back to the year when you started your grade 1, all the 12 years, and now the next 3, 4, some want to stay long and 5. So. If you look at all of those years, we have now, the last few years, you have left either as a teenager or a young adult. And it's very important that you use these last few years of your own personal development, but of course being at university now, it's also your academic development. You use these years very wisely. Let me say just a few words about, because we are talking to first year students mainly, about the university. A bit later, I'll talk specifically about the Durban University of Technology, but let me talk about the university generally. It is an author, an academic, by the name of Ronald Barnett, who actually wrote a book in the 90s with the title, The Idea of Higher Education. He says something very intriguing. He says, higher education, and more specifically university education, is not really about learning. So if our first year students thought coming to DUT or to any university is about learning and regurgitating what you learned, you are in the wrong place. You are no longer learners here. University education is about reimagining, critically evaluating what you have amassed when you learn. So the job at university is not so much about amassing knowledge and learning about things. The most important thing is what you do with what you have learned, with the knowledge you have. Do you look at it? Do you think about it critically? That's what we do at university. Do you reimagine what you have read and use many other ideas from elsewhere, other than from whatever book you may have read, to critically evaluate that? Do you use your creativity and innovation to come up with something new from the knowledge you have? That's what a university is. So, a university is not just about learning, but it's about using what you have learned to perhaps create something new. If you can't create something new, to evaluate critically, to reimagine it, to refine it. Now, coming back to what we at DUT wish to capacitate you with as a student. As I said earlier, Dr. Moreko noted that what the choir is doing is part of what your last few years as a teenager, some as a young adult, have to think about getting engaged in. So there are two things, there could be many, that as you become part of this university community, we hope at the end of your 3-year, 4-year program, you will have been capacitated with. John Wooden, a great American basketball coach, says something like this. He says, ability may take you to the top, But in order to remain at the top, character will take you there. So, ability and character are at least two things that we would wish to equip you with, and that you wish, as you leave the university, you'll be able to demonstrate. Of course, ability is about what most of you think you have come here to perfect. But as I explained earlier about what university education is about, ability has to do, in a university setting, with critical thinking skills you should have during the course of your studies. It's about high-level skills that you need so that when you complete your program here, you could participate productively in the development of this country, in the development of your community where you come from, perhaps even the advancement of your own family. So those critical thinking skills, those high-level skills, if you are an engineer, if you are a teacher, any other profession, all of that is part of the abilities that you are going to amass while you're here. But as John Wooden says, yes, indeed, you will have all this capacity to participate in the economy. Now that takes you somewhere, takes you to the top, as John Wooden says. But what keeps you there? John Wooden says, character. So, as a responsible university, knowing that we have 32,000 young people, we have about, this year, over 9,000 first-year entry students, we cannot miss the opportunity to help to mold your character. Because if we don't, and we unleash you out there to the broader society raw, we will infect the country, not just ourselves. But then how does DUT help to mold your character? We live in a country where anything goes. Ngimdala ngingaka nje, nginethukwa yini ngelinye ilanga, ningibize ngomama, nina, kulelizwe. What I'm saying for those who don't understand is that some insults will be hurled at me, even about my mother's private parts, by the very same students. It's happened many times. It happens in schools. It happens at universities. But you know why? It's not because of a lack of abilities, technology, high-level skills that young people do that, or that South Africans do that. And maybe let me not just say it's young people only who do this. Ukubona indoda endala mhlambe ku-TV noma ulalele ku-radio okanye umama omdala ekhuluma nje amahlazo kalula ukuthi uzokwenzani kubani That is what our South Africa has become. So bad. Sometimes you might think it's only young people and you may blame them. Indeed, we should. But this is something that has been ingrained as a culture in this country. To ensure that we hollow out this country of values and principles. So, wanting to make sure that you are not only educated and trained to optimize your abilities, the issue of character is very, very important, as I've said. At DUT, we have our own values and principles at DUT. And maybe, if there is any first year student here, or any student for that matter, who feels they wouldn't want to align with those values and principles, they may well deregister or will give them all their money. Because we are not just focusing on your abilities, we are focusing on your character too. DUTs, even though you might not remember, and you'll get that information during this orientation program. DUT's values are transparency, honesty, integrity, respect, accountability. If I were to just single out integrity, integrity is about being one indivisible and irreducible human being in terms of what you think, what you do. You cannot cheat in your exams and go and complain about the marks, or you cannot lose opportunities to focus on your academic work and get bad marks, knowing fully that you have not, but try to force our academics to pass you as you think. You think passing is decided by academics. It's not decided by academics. It's decided by you in terms of how much work you put in there. Maybe I'm talking about my field, because in my field, 1 + 1 is 2. Well, depending on where you are with your mathematics, it could be something else. But even in another situation, things are very clear that if you take this and that, this is the outcome. There are no two outcomes about that. So, integrity is very important in our society and amongst our students. You cannot claim to have integrity when out there in your village or in your township, you valorize criminals because they drive expensive cars, they've got the most beautiful girlfriends, and then complain about crime. That's a lack of integrity. If you think crime is wrong, then it's wrong in your family with that brother or sister who is involved in all the criminal activities. It's wrong for that prominent individual who is a criminal that you take too seriously, you valorize. But I don't want to go deeper into the values of transparency, honesty, integrity, respect, and accountability. These are the things that here at DUT we're trying to embed in the life we live as a DUT community. I talk about values and principles. The principles at DUT are fairness, professionalism, commitment, compassion, excellence. I don't want to stretch this, off the cuff speech, because actually I do have a prepared speech, and I'm sorry for people who helped me to draft it, but I'm not reading that speech. Just speaking now. So I would say a few words maybe about excellence, but I think I need to move on. So in short, we take seriously our values and principles. There are programs at DUT to help to embed them, and would like you to participate as much as you can in all of those programs. Because if you miss that opportunity to have your character molded through values and principles, and many other things you make available to our young people, you will leave this university raw. You will be top in your class and think that at the level of ability and capacity, intellectual skills, other high-level skills, you are the best that ever happened. But if you lack in character, it will show. You will soon fall from that pedestal you think you are on. So I just started with the issue of character, values, and principles. As I said earlier, what most of you think you've come here for is this site that takes you to the top, as John Wooden says, ability. So indeed, we will here at DUT ensure that our curriculum stimulates creativity and innovation that lead you to help to solve a number of problems that our society faces. We are moving away as DUT from the idea, from the mantra, that a university of technology produces graduates for the world of work, because we know work hardly exists in South Africa. So why would we train and educate you for this work and that type of work? We are now beginning to focus on training and educating you to be critical thinkers, to be creative, to be innovative, to be adaptive wherever you might find yourself to be. Being adaptive means you may have been trained as a doctor, for example. Well, not at DUT, we don't have medicine, but just making an example. Just recently we've been hearing in the news that there are doctors who have no jobs. So why would DUT continue to train people for jobs? specific jobs in a narrow way. What should happen with those medical professionals? It happens also in engineering. We do have engineering. There are people who do it. And if the economy is not right in terms of infrastructure development in the country, there will, for example, be civil engineers who don't have jobs. Then what do you do? That's why it's important for us as DUT, to make you adaptive graduates who are graduates with the acumen to initiate or respond to change or influence change. Because then when you're an engineer and you live in a civil engineer and you live in Gandra, for example, and there is no water, or you live in a village called Etalaneni, for example, which is surrounded by mountains and has lots of little streams flowing from the mountains. You're a civil engineer, there is something you can do to ensure that water can be drawn from the top of the mountain where there are springs all over. Trenches can be dug. You could organize your community to contribute whatever it is that could be contributed. Of course, you can get more help from government too, if any would come. It's high time, fellow South Africans, that we train our young people that way. It's not about looking for a job for a civil engineer from Murray and Roberts. It's about looking broadly in your community in terms of how you could apply your skills to help to solve the problems of your community. Everything else will follow in terms of how your livelihood improves as a result of your activities in the community or anywhere else. If as a civil engineer you would do that in Kanda, in Talaneni, and bring water from the mountains right up to the village with the support of the whole village, other villages might be interested in you to help them do what you have done over there. That's what an adaptive graduate does. He or she doesn't join the queues, the long queues of people looking for jobs, but because he or she has this sense of creativity and innovation, looks around for whatever could be done. And it may not even be in your main field of interest. A civil engineer may not have to deal with the water issues. The civil engineer may help with a school that needs young people to be taught physics or mathematics, because they would know that. That's an adaptive graduate. So, having explained that we are changing our approach to education to one that ensures that our creativity and innovation will shape adaptive graduates for the benefit of society, to transform society. We are going to, over the next few years, be focusing on just doing that. So our curricula will be aligned accordingly. So I hope I've been able to give you a sense of the end of you being a learner and the beginning of you not just being a learner, but somebody who will use creativity and innovation to help to solve the problems of this world. Somebody who will be adaptive when the economy changes, when the environment changes, will stay at the top and provide whatever services are required and participate productively in the economy of this country. And lastly, that without your character having been molded during your stay here, you may have all the ability to do many things. And that ability will take you to the top indeed. But if your character has not been molded, you face the risk of not remaining at the top. This is my welcome to you. All the best over the next 3 years, 4 years. I hope your parents, your guardians, your sponsors who have sometimes slept without a meal for you to get the support you need to be here at DUT, that they won't be disappointed. That as you join the university and get exposed to so many things, even those things that some sniff, or some smoke, or some drink, that you'll remain resolute because you know what the ultimate goal is. You know you should not disappoint people who have put in so much for you to get to where you are. And if all fellow South Africans could recommit to a number of things that I've said, we will certainly have a prosperous country. We are the people, my age, who have messed up this country. You cannot go the same routes. Some of us are about to retire. You will be our leaders. We wish you could be those leaders. You could be that group of first-year students or group of DUT students that will be known for having started a revolution right here at this campus or Riverside or any of our campuses in Durban that made South Africa turn the corner. Not young people who do what we did in the 80s when we were students. Toi. Not young people who continue to dance the old dances that never achieved anything, no matter how violent those dances become. We destroy so much in this country that is our own because of so-called anger, but anger against ourselves. DUT right now, as you can see, in terms of its infrastructure, is trying its best to improve that. So, are those improvements about our students hurling stones at windows and burning buildings and so forth? What does that take us to? We have a program at DUT that takes a number of our students to China. China was never a rich country. For example, when I was born, and even when I was a teenager. It's only very recently, maybe over the last 40 years, that China emerged as one of the greatest economies in the world. It was poor, but all it required was the fortitude of some of its people to make it different. And that's why I'm really appealing with our young people for a new legacy that they need to start now to make this country better, not on the basis of old dances and old chants and old songs, but new ones that will bring development, that will uplift our people, your families. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor, with your words of wisdom, which you delivered with your incisive message. Ladies and gentlemen, once more, may we receive this insightful message. May I now invite Dr. Mkunwani, the Institutional Registrar, with closing remarks.
Program Director, Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellors, Executive Deans of Faculties, HODs, members of the SRC, under the leadership of the President, parents, spouses, guardians, and partners of our first year students, and our first year students. I just want to say thank you to everybody for attending this, our 2024 official opening and welcoming ceremony for our first year students. But I would like to thank a number of individuals, quite especially. First of all, thank you to our Vice Chancellor and Principal, not only for sharing pearls of wisdom with our first year students, but also just for gracing this occasion with the dignity of his office, as well as the wisdom of his intellect. May I also thank heartily parents of our first year students for trusting us with the stewardship of your bundles of joy. We can assure you that the people that we will usher back to you in 3 to 4 years' time will definitely be a different breed that you are leaving us with today. At this campus, for instance, we breed them differently. To our first year students, thank you very much for choosing this great university as your intellectual home. This is one decision you will never regret in your pursuit to achieve greatness. May I also thank our melodious voices, the choir, especially for the rendition of a very difficult processional song, Yele. I can see the difference that the new conductor is bringing to the tonal quality of the choir and ability to navigate those difficult quarter notes and chromatics of the song. But also, I have also witnessed a professionally choreographed performance of traditional songs. Well done and keep it up. Ladies and gentlemen, we wish you a pleasant day further. We've lined up a number of activities for our first year students as part of our holistic student supports to ensure that you are able to navigate the rigors of university life. We wish you all the best in your journey towards greatness. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nkunwani. As we stand and sing the national anthem led by the choir, may I request gentlemen to take off their hats. Can we stand up and sing the national anthem? And after the national anthem, please remain standing while the procession will be leaving the hall.
Now, by virtue of the authority vested in me, I hereby dissolve this congregation of the Durban University of Technology. Sesuphothulileke umsebenzi wanamhlanje. Ngicela ke ukuhlakaza lo mbuthano wale nyuvesi yaseThekwini yezobuchwepheshe. Sibonge kakhulu ukuthi sihlanganyele nani sibungaze laba bantwana bethu benu bethu sonke. Thank you very much for having had this special occasion to welcome young people, our first year students, and actually open this